Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sylvia and I make videos on planning with the occasional review. Today is day 31. Hashtag 1 month in my Bujo challenge ends today on March 31st, 2021. And there's a fly in my house. So spring has officially arrived. I saw a fly and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, it's getting warmer. So today I thought I would take you through a flip through and we would talk a little bit about the things that I have learned. I have a couple pages here I've sort of written out, hopefully to help me not stray and get lost throughout this. Also, I wanted to talk about why I started the challenge, what I've learned, what worked for me, and what didn't. So let's start with today. I went ahead and I filled this out last night so I wouldn't forget some of these things. And I'm also going to be working on, or off of rather, this spread, which is still currently open because I have stuff that has not been checked off completely and some that I wrote day 31 here when I was making a list, because that's another way that I tend to forward plan if I don't have the next day set up. So let's get started with the first things in the beginning here, which is the monthly. Now, I did a video talking about a comparison between having a bullet journal monthly that is 1 line per day and a square box style monthly. I have found that I like a combination of the two. I really like using my monthly log for like a memory index. I do put, certain appointments, doctor, dentist appointment on here, but I find that I tend to like a square box for that the most. And I like memory keeping on here. I couldn't imagine keeping memories on something like this. I don't know why it doesn't work for me. There's really no space here for me to put like monthly goals. Certainly I do have a cover page, which I love. And maybe next time I will leave a blank space over here to go ahead and put all of my monthly goals. But I went ahead and I put them up here instead. So that worked out for me. But both of these, whether you prefer this or this, work very nicely. And I find that, yeah, I like a combination of the two. The weekly task list definitely changed to a weekly focus. I found that for some reason this just didn't work for me. Usually I can use an Alistair method, whether it's just for the focus of 1 week or for like the whole month, like this one set up, or and it works fine, but it didn't this time around. So I ended up nixing this and replacing it. The weekly chart was kind of a bust the first time. You can see all these washi tapes. I didn't even add washi tape here. I just put the little dashes where I sort of fell off. And I think that I was just so busy and in a lot of pain with my wrist that first week. I really just didn't get much done. I wasn't motivated to do anything but, complain about how much pain I was in, which didn't get me anywhere. And quickly I eventually got over that, which is good. The dailies, I did something a little bit different. I tried to space out each of the tasks so things looked neater, and I liked that. I tried putting down washi tape, whereas in the past, I've just let it be plain. And I really did like and appreciate the washi tape. I tried a Tombow to add some color. And I really liked the color, but I don't like how my writing looks. I would probably prefer using a stencil going ahead, however, because the tip of these, oops, I forgot you can't, are pretty thick. So if I were going to use a stencil, it would probably be either my Hobonichi stencils or my Jibun Techo stencils. They all have numbers on them. This is not going to fit in those little stencils. So I would have to find a finer tipped colored pen probably in order to do that if I wanted to continue. But I do like having a different color for the headers. I think they stand out more. And I was very bummed about the fact that I went to lighter colors because it just looked kind of junky to me. I did try to incorporate at least one line going further of like journaling or note taking. I did journal in between these first, I think, week or so. Unfortunately, when you're making daily videos and you're flipping through, because you have all these working spreads that are open, it's really hard. And sometimes you flip to your journal page and you're like, oh, I wish my journal wasn't in here. And I found that that's true. So removing it just, took all of the headache out of that. Again, we continue with the dailies. I do like to use a line at the top and the bottom to make it look a little more defined. I did try this out and I did like it, but I did fall off. To me, that means that maybe I didn't need them as much as I thought I did, but it was nice to try them out. Then we come to my weekly focus, which switched from the Alistair method. I really loved this. This is something I'm absolutely going to keep. I really liked having, what audiobooks and physical books I was going to be reading, my focus for that week. And then any kind of cleaning or important projects for that week. I also liked kind of reflecting on how I felt about the week. I felt like that was really important. And I decided in doing this that I needed to focus on a 15-minute tasks. And this was something I think I heard from several podcasts in the past. The idea behind this is if you give yourself a task and you set a specific time, like maybe 5 or 10 minutes. For 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to, clean out this box that's on my shelf and put things where they go, right? That you're probably going to spend more time than that, but it's just getting started and starting with something low so the goal doesn't seem overwhelming. So I added that, incorporated that into my weekly chart for this week. And that ended up working out really well for me. I really loved doing that, and I could choose any kind of task that I wanted to do. And once I saw that boxes were open, it pushed me to want to fill them more. So I ended up doing pretty well with this weekly chart. This was the first spread that I did for vocabulary, where I did a little collaging, and I really loved the way it looked, and I loved having these words here. I even started to eventually at some point write down where these words were heard from. So I was watching specific shows or specific conversations. And even in some of the reading that Jade and I did, like one of the words was, it's not on here. I think it was, I want to say appetizer, not appetizer, hors d'oeuvre. And she didn't know how to read that because, she's in the 5th grade and she was like, what is that? And so we just laughed about how things are spelled and the fact that they do come from different countries and what have you. So that was really cool. And then, of course, I continued with the dailies, adding a little bit of washi tape and some stickers here, which makes it a little bit nicer to look back at. Again, I'm not really that interested in dailies every single day. I found that it was pretty unnecessary for me to have dailies every single day. Sometimes you have a day where you really need to write a bunch of stuff down. Sometimes you just have your own mental checklist where I talked about the difference in a video of recording or planning versus recording rather, just because sometimes I would get busy and I'd do all of the tasks and then I'd write them down in the dailies later because that worked best for me. This is that one spread where I accidentally wrote the wrong day of the week, and it was easy to fix it with some washi stickers. So that worked out well. You can obviously see here that I stopped adding in my journaling. This was something that I chose to do. I had seen this by, I think Brian did it in his videos. His link for Frankenlog is down below. And he had mentioned that he liked to do journaling, and he'd put the pages he actually journaled on up here on that for that day. I liked it, but then of course it was sort of a moot point because I ended up taking all of my journaling out and putting it in something else. So I really didn't need to refer to this anymore. With the book spreads, I'm really liking them as well. It takes minimal effort. I mean, honestly, this was just a really pretty paper that I, ripped in half, and it's got a sticky backing, and I just put it down, used a stencil, and I was done. I'm still currently reading this book slowly because I am taking notes, but I do love this spread as well. It's something that I'm going to keep going further. And then again here we have, you know, me taking notes off to the side here because there was all this empty space and I didn't want to go to the next page. I also really loved these stickers. Just putting them down makes the page look less blah to me. And I think that this is something I will continue doing in the future. You can see on this page, I took a ton of notes that I wanted to remember about this day, which was nice. And then I only did like a few tasks because this was one of the days I think we ended up having basketball. There were 4 weekly reviews, you know, within this challenge, and each one I feel like I learned something new, or it at least reminded me, oh yeah, I don't like that, or oh yeah, I really do enjoy doing that. So that was really important for me to go back and learn. I didn't have the best luck at keeping up with this. Like, I've finished Misery, but I would forget to check them off. I didn't even check that off there. But that happened. And I'm going to go ahead and check this off because I just went ahead and forwarded it. So it's been tended to. I really still think that this is one of the most beneficial things to me. I don't know why. A lot of it is just basically recording what I've already done for the day as opposed to planning it out, but it works really well for me. Again, I continued, oh, see, there is hors d'oeuvre. I continued with the vocab and it was so great. And I made the little note that we were reading The Girlfriend by R.L. Stine when this popped up. So that was really nice too. Because sometimes you hear words like bracketology, and I did a video talking about this because I was watching the college tournament and they were talking about bracketology and I just thought that was so funny. Again, I am trying really hard here to lay down some washi tape, and I think it's better than not having any at all. I did go ahead and put some things I wanted to do, repetitive things every single day. I didn't continue with this because I, after a while, just made this a habit and I was doing them and I didn't feel the need to write it and check it off because it was getting done. But I highly recommend this for someone who is trying to get into a new habit. Again, here we have Misery, and this was just really great for me as a writer because I do have like that there was a narrator, that it was third person, omniscient, POV, stuff like that. There was definitely vocabulary in here. Annie Wilkes, she likes to say cock-a-doodle a lot, which would make me laugh every single time. And the quote that makes me laugh the best is when she says, "He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car." Also, she likes to say dirty birdie. I'm having some asthma here. I was like coughing as I'm laughing, but that was pretty funny. And also, Castle Rock season 2 is about Annie Wilkes, and so she definitely has this vocab as they took this character and ran with her. I really, really love what they did with her story. So this was really great for me. And I also like to know when the book was published. 1987, which would have made me 6 at the time. Stuff like that works really well for me. I also like to know what the publishing company is and then like the main characters. This is a really cool book because even though it's basically 2 characters, they do write a little bit of the character Paul Sheldon. He's a writer. They do write in a little bit of his character, so we get to see sort of what he's writing as he's being held captive by Annie. Again, I really liked these. All of these stickers are from Your Creative Studio subscription box, and they were so easy to just put down, and they just make things look a little nicer. I like using washi tape to divide days like this also. That works really nicely. And of course, at the end of each week, I would do what I learned for that week, what I liked, what I didn't, which was also another way to help me out to better learn my habits. And this is the last week, weekly focus that I did, week 4 of the month, because you can see here we still had 1, 2, 3 days left in this month, but it wasn't really considered a full week. So I went ahead and I put week 13. I just added it on so I could continue to work on this list. Since this list was still open, there was a lot of open things still I wanted to work on here. And I went ahead and I put like a Camp Nano. I still haven't worked on this. I'm going to work on it today because I need to figure it out for tomorrow. This is just going to be kind of a spread that I might do for Camp Nano here. Again, the combination of a weekly focus and then the weekly chart just works so well for me. If I don't do dailies, it still has all of my goals for the week, as well as all of these little categories that I want to check off for the week. And if I only worked off of this spread here with these two different things, I wouldn't need dailies at all. So that's why I think these two are really important and work the best for me. Again, continuing with vocab, cattywampus, because it's funny and why not? And then I have this spread for Girl on a Train. This is, well, actually before this, with Misery, I was wondering, should I put this with my weekly spread or should it go in the back with my collections? Because it kind of seemed like maybe I should, just because a week will pass and I haven't finished a book or an audiobook. I'm no longer in that week and I would have to flip back to it. The reality is I still like knowing that this is what I was focusing on for the week, even if I didn't finish it. I started it here. So that's probably just going to come down to personal preference. But I think going forward, if I was going to continue doing this and plan, I might actually put it in the collections instead of in the actual week that I am working on. Again, I continued with these mushrooms, which are kind of funny and random. That there's just, mushrooms on the page, but it goes from mushrooms to flowers, and I don't know. I just think it's cool that there's something there and it's not so boring. So I will definitely continue doing this. I think anytime I have dailies, I, again, did not like this. It was too light. I also don't like how messy it ended up getting. I couldn't erase it because it is a Tombow. So maybe some friction pens in the future in color. I might end up purchasing some so that I can use them, with my stencils to make it look a little neater. Not necessary, but possibly will do. And of course, this is the weekly chart, which is only 3 days. And here we are on today, which I haven't done anything yet because it's still early. But this is working out well. I didn't want to put the whole week, so they're kind of a little bit longer than normal. So there is a little bit of space there where I didn't need to write anything else, but still working out. Still one of my favorite things that I do. Here is the, I guess for this next 3 days, the vocab for that. And I just, started writing in more things. So this guy, I watched him a really long time ago, probably like a year and a half ago. He's like this, I don't know, like it's not self-help, sort of self-help. He's like a romance guru, and he has like no, I don't think education based on psychology or anything like that. But he's like a love coach or something weird. And at first when I was watching him on YouTube, I really kind of enjoyed him and I thought, oh, this is really great. Then he started to get big and he started doing like books and he started doing like these weird random cards. It's like a card game that you can do like with your partner. I don't know. And I just thought, this is crazy and you're weird. And I fell off on watching him and I just thought he was kind of ridiculous. And then I saw him the other day on, I think it was Entertainment Canada or something, and they were talking about how he had to come out and say not only did he cheat on his wife, but he had had several affairs during their marriage. And I thought, So the word that came to mind was hypocrisy, which is the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform. Is that not him? I think it is. So if you look him up, the pretense, you'll definitely, probably have a little bit of a laugh at how ridiculous some people are. And it just goes to show you how people see themselves as opposed to how other people see them. So there's that. So I like making little notes about vocab and where I've heard it from. This is, of course, where we end. We're back at the beginning. And again, I've been doing a little bit of notes here and there of stuff we're watching, Jay and I, and things we're doing more in the evening. But it's not actual journaling. For me, journaling is not just taking notes on the day. It's about your feelings and emotions and how you react to the day. So that I keep private. And of course, these were the notes I don't want to share because I have some notes in here about my own, not this page, but the next page, on my own novel that was for NaNoWriMo and me preparing for that challenge coming up tomorrow. And that is everything, I think. Let me read through this quickly and see if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Okay, sorry, the heater came on and you couldn't hear anything but that, so I had to go turn it off and wait for it to go off. So I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly where I was, but I will pick up with the index because I think that's when it turned on. So I found that an index for me is only helpful after the fact and not during my actual planning or use of the notebook. I refer to an index in old notebooks to see what's in there. I really don't refer to it during the actual usage because of threading. For those of you that might be catching this video and you haven't seen any of my others, threading is where you put down at the bottom the page where the previous spread or the spread after the fact is. So for instance, I'm explaining this incorrectly. I've been thrown off. This is a vocab spread, and so the previous spread is on page 44, as you can see here. And if I end up on this one and I want to find the one that's after, I know it's on page 56. So that's how threading works. It's very simple for me to find things with threading, so I never really have to refer to my index. If this notebook was full of only notes, it might be more handy to have that index. I might use it more during the actual fact, but the reality is there's just a combination of spreads within and dailies and stuff like that. So I just use threading to help me find them. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the differences between collections and actions list. I did a video on that, and I think it's important for you to know the difference because sometimes I feel like because I have a collection, I always feel like I need to make it an actions list even when it's not. And now I feel more comfortable with just having some notes or spread that I never really need to check things off of, but it was more because, you know, I wanted to make that collection. I wanted to have those notes just because. So if you wanted to go ahead and write down all of your favorite songs of the 90s, you certainly could, or the top 10, and never do anything with that list. It was just kind of a memory or journal technique that a lot of people use. Also important, I wrote that I miss and love the functionality of my traveler's notebook. That is absolutely true. Some categories, like if you, for instance, take a notebook like this and break it into 4 sections, one of those sections, one of those categories is going to fill up faster than the others. It's just how it works. And I like having separate notebooks or inserts so that I can take one out once it's filled and put another volume in its place. That just works best for me, and I really missed being able to do that. I also like for my categories or sections to be consecutive, and in here they're not. Of course, that's where threading comes in, but I wouldn't mind if I had just an insert for vocabulary, one for journaling, so I'd never have to show my journaling accidentally like I was doing in the beginning of this process. And then I ended up taking it out, so it wasn't an issue anymore. But I also like having a traveler's notebook where you can have all of these different sections all in one place. It just works best for me, and I really miss that. So I will not be continuing in April with this bullet journal. I'm going to be going back to my 3-time Hobonichis and work in there, especially since I have one Hobonichi, my A5 cousin, that is completely dedicated to my writing, and I'm going to be doing Camp Nano, which is a writing challenge for all of April. I will, however, be continuing to put vocabulary in here. Also, I'm not sure if I cut that off or not, but people did ask why I was doing the challenge. I had mentioned it in my first couple of videos. I wanted to see if I could actually do this challenge of uploading and filming and editing every single day, not necessarily in that order. I also wanted to see what it would be like to be in a bullet journal for the entire month and not to stray. And I know that I can do it now, but I do miss my traveler's notebook. And I also wanted to have videos with specific focuses, like if somebody wanted to ask me about threading because they were new, or how I use threading within my bullet journal, I would have a video with a specific focus on that I could refer them to, so they could take what they like and leave what they don't. And now, because I've done a focus every day, and some of them were just on my weekly review for that week, but there were like, you know, let me show you. There were focuses like on collaging or vocab and how I, you know, keep my vocab spreads. There were focuses on, of course, 1 line a day versus box calendars, which I think is important because some people might think that they only have to do this when they can go ahead and print it out and do this if it works best for them. So stuff like that. It's really nice to have a video specifically for that I can refer people to, because in the past people have asked me things that I've certainly answered, but because they're mixed up maybe with a review of something else, or just like a monthly setup where I might have mentioned it, it's a little bit harder to tell them it's somewhere in this video. I'm pretty sure I talked about it. So yeah, that was another reason. All right, so yay, I'm a winner. Winner chicken dinner. And I'm off to do another challenge, which I'm not going to be filming every day, thank goodness. But it's going to be fun because it's a writing one and my wrist feels pretty good, so I'm excited about that. I have definitely filled the well, so to speak. If you're a writer, you know what that means, because I haven't been able to really write for the entire month. So I just want to say thank you to a lot of you that followed me throughout this challenge. I've seen your comments. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Tina. I know Tina's been there for pretty much every video. I appreciate you so much. All right, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope that this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.